Welcome to our weekly roundup of key business developments in Sri Lanka. I'm Nishani Pigara. Let's first take a look at the main stories for this week. Parliamentary elections declared. IMF ready to work with the new government. And stock market reaches a 2-month high. In our top story this week, on Tuesday, President Anurakumara Dissanayake dissolved Parliament and swore in a 3-member cabinet, the smallest ever in Sri Lankan history. Harini Amarasuriya was appointed as the Prime Minister, making her the third female Premier in Sri Lanka. Parliamentary elections are scheduled to take place on the 14th of November, with nominations closing on the 11th of next month. These elections are seen as crucial for President Dissanayake, who requires a majority in Parliament to consolidate his power and appoint a fully fledged cabinet. On Sunday, President Dissanayake emerged victorious at the 9th presidential elections, gaining 42% of the votes, including a counting of preferential votes. He was followed by Sajith Premadasa and former President Ranil Wickremesinghe, who gained 32% and 17% respectively. Meanwhile, the IMF expressed its interest to work with the new government and is to decide on the timing for the third review under the Extended Fund Facility program. The National People's Power government in its manifesto had said that it intends to renegotiate terms which they believe had resulted in many Sri Lankans facing economic hardships. According to experts, renegotiations could delay the disbursement of the fourth tranche under the IMF program. So far, the IMF has disbursed over $1 billion under the program. Sri Lanka's key island-wide inflation fell to 1.1% in August year-on-year from 2.5% in July. The decrease was largely driven by decreases in non-food group items such as housing, water, and electricity. The central bank expects inflation to remain below 5% till the first quarter of next year. Today, the Monetary Board of the Central Bank will announce its stance on policy interest rates. Since June 2023, rates have been cut by 725 basis points. The all-share price index at the Colombo Stock Exchange turned bullish this week following the victory of NPP candidate Anurakumara Dissanayake, gaining nearly 700 points since the election. Despite the current bullish sentiment, analysts await further clarity on the policies of the new government in steering the economy. Chairperson of the Colombo Stock Exchange, Dilshan Veerasekara, speaking to Bloomberg Markets on Monday, said that the stock exchange expects foreign investors to return to the market sooner than later, following the completion of the debt restructuring and the expected rating upgrade. He also added that domestic and foreign investor contribution to turnover has been restored to the 85-15 share. In 2025, 95% of investment turnover was dominated by domestic players. However, according to Veerasekara, participation remains lower partly due to the country's restricted default status, as foreign funds portfolio managers do not allocate investment flows to countries in such status. On Wednesday, Fitch affirmed Sri Lanka's long-term currency issuer default rating at restricted default and the long-term local currency at CCC-. The agency noted that there is a positive movement with Sri Lanka's private creditors on external debt restructuring. On a related note, Moody's also commented that it expects no major disruptions to the current IMF reforms program, although some policies being reprioritized can cause some challenges in maintaining fiscal consolidation. In our weekly tourism update, during the first 23 days of September, over 92,000 tourists arrived in the country, bringing the year-to-date total to over 1.45 million. Daily arrivals continue to trend lower, falling to 4,028 in the month, down from the 5,310 recorded in August. Speaking to the media, SLTDA Chairman Priyantha Fernando revealed that daily tourist arrivals are down from the anticipated levels of 5,500 to 6,000 arrivals per day. Despite the expected drop in arrivals in the latter half of the month due to elections, the number has further fallen below forecasts to around 120,000. The Treasury bill auction held on Wednesday yields on 182 and 365-day maturities fell marginally this week. Bids amounting to 244 billion rupees were received, out of which 120 billion were accepted. The Sri Lankan rupee was volatile against the dollar this week, with the central bank's indicative mid-spot rate ranging around 303 to 304 rupees. The central bank notes that the rupee has strengthened by 7% against the dollar in 2024. And with that, we wind up for this week. Do subscribe to our YouTube channel at the link below for regular updates and economic and business developments on Sri Lanka. Until we see you again next week, thank you for watching. Stay safe.